This is The Process Shot. I'm Michael. I'm stuck in a haunted movie theater, and I've seen The Little Shop of Horrors, a horror comedy from 1960 directed by Roger Corman. It follows the staff of a florist shop in Skid Row, most of all its bumbling assistant Seymour. He fails to impress his boss with a new plant discovery, but he's given a chance to cultivate it if it attracts business. By accident, he learns that it requires only one thing to keep it alive: blood. When Seymour runs out of his own to share, despite the plant's vocal demands for more, he resorts to using the bodies of others to give it strength, a task which only grows more and more frustrating as business at the store booms, Seymour finds love, and the police start to follow his trail. That probably makes things sound a bit more serious than they actually are. In reality, this movie is very absurd in its proceedings, almost never at all taking itself seriously beyond whatever needs to be done to keep the story moving along. From the very first scene, it sets itself up to be nonsensical, most of all in the character performances. Everybody is almost like a caricature, having fun with the general simplicity of their roles and exaggerating their actions and mannerisms. It gives everything happening a sort of campiness, as if everybody went into this production knowing just to have fun with it, and not care at all about making something more in line with horror conventions. It does result in a pretty weak plot structure, and characters are still limited by whatever their initial setup might be, but the comedic angle in all of this lets it slide by, especially since the performances are entirely what drive the ongoing appeal. Even when there's only a bit part that lasts maybe a few minutes or only one scene, there's something in their performance that makes them memorable, or, at the very least, a welcomed presence. On the downside, there's not much to say about the technical details in this movie. It's a low-budget production, and it shows in just about every frame of the film. Set design is pretty bland and barely ever looks believable, no matter how much they're dressed up. Cinematography in these locations don't offer much help either, since they're usually filmed from a handful of angles and never look like an actual environment. Location shots do add some layer of reality to the film, and they can add to some of the comedic bits, but otherwise it's hardly ever convincing. Editing rarely helps in this matter, since it's entirely practical and probably only wanted to hide any more glaring mistakes in a scene. I'm definitely positive that I've heard the music in this film before, and it was probably in another film made by Corman. I suppose I can say that just because a movie is produced cheaply, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a complete trash fire like many other movies I've seen here. In the case of this film, it all really depends on whether or not you can make something with enough heart that it doesn't feel like something being made without any soul. Or something like that anyways. I'm probably overthinking it. The Little Shop of Horrors. Roger Corman, 1960. 2.5 stars. I'd still go ahead and recommend seeing it yourself. That's it for this review. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I probably am overthinking it. At the end of the day, it's a cheap, cheesy horror movie. Probably has more of a place in history than I'm aware, though. That happens from time to time.